An out-of-state investor accepted offer for $35,000 on his Cleveland rental. Then he called me, and we sold their property for $90,000. That's $55,000 he almost left on the table to a wholesaler who was never the real buyer. Same property, same market, different outcome. The difference? He answered 5 questions before he sold. Most sellers ask one question: what's my property worth, or what price can I get? And that's how you leave $55,000 on the table. Let's go through the 5 questions one by one. Question 1: are you free to sell? Most people start with the price, but price is not the first question. Before you calculate what you're going to walk away with, ask yourself, what could stop you from walking away at all? What lease terms, what title issues, what partner approvals or contracts, or legal restrictions that could delay the sale or create expensive surprise. I had a seller get to closing and discover she had a $78,000 demolition lien that had been attached against her LLC. Not from the property she was selling, but from another property that had been condemned. She had no idea until the closing. Most people think a signed offer means the deal is done. A signed offer is progress. A higher price is progress. A fast close, that's progress. But progress is not certainty. So before you count on selling, answer this: am I free to sell? Question 2: what problem are you trying to solve? Not what your property is worth. What problem are you actually trying to solve? Is it cash flow? Is it tenant problems? Deferred maintenance? Poor management? The distance? Or you're just burnt out from decision fatigue? I had a client, Peter. He thought his problem was, I need $150,000 because Zillow said so. When his real problem was, he was bleeding $800 a month. His tenant had stopped paying, and he lived in California. That property was bleeding him dry, draining his time, and stealing his peace of mind. Once we identified the real problem, the solution was clear. We didn't chase this estimate. We sold in 45 days. He walked away with $135,000, stopped the bleeding, and avoided 6 months of carrying costs. So before you ask, what price can I get? Answer this: what problem am I actually trying to solve? Not what Zillow says, not what a realtor hoping to list your house claims, not what you hope to get. What is this property really costing you, and what would actually fix the problem? Question number 3: what's the right exit path? See, this is where owners make expensive mistakes, not because they're careless, but because they're exhausted. The tenant has worn them down. The property manager has disappointed them. The repairs keep stacking up. And suddenly the goal becomes, I just want out. I understand that. But here's what I want you to understand. Frustration is not a strategy. It makes relief feel like a strategy. And that is how owners accept lowball offers, miss better options, and give up leverage they still had. You have options. But the sales strategy and who you sell to are 2 different decisions. The mistake is confusing the fastest offer with the best exit. So ask yourself this: who are you actually selling to? Because the sales strategy is what you do with the property. The buyer is who's making the offer, or who's behind the LLC or entity, and whether that offer is actually real. I work with a client, Valerie, in selling her house here in Cleveland. We got 3 buyers on her property. Buyer 1 came in high and tried to renegotiate after the inspection. We sent them walking. Buyer 2 kept asking for extensions. We cut them loose. Buyer 3 performed, and that's the one we closed with. She said this afterwards: despite the unexpected challenges, he always had a solution. Not every offer is a good offer, but you can't recognize a bad offer if frustration is forcing the decision. So before you sell, ask yourself, what's the right exit path? And am I choosing it, or just reacting because I'm tired, angry, or done? Just remember, frustration is not a strategy. Question number 4: do you have a clear execution plan? The first 3 questions came from years of watching owners make the same mistakes. The last 2 are from a system I built over 23 years in this market. It has become what I call the Pentagon principles selling system. Question 4: who will manage the tenant, the access, the cleanup, the inspection, coordinate with the city, the showings, the buyer's questions, negotiation, and the timeline? And what happens if one of those pieces falls apart? Here's a pattern I've seen. An out-of-state owner decides to sell and assumes the property manager will handle it. But then the tenant gets difficult. Access becomes a problem, and the paperwork sits. And the sale is not truly the manager's priority. Keeping the account is. The rental property is their cash cow. Why would they help you kill it? Nothing moves. The listing goes stale and the property sits. I've seen listings at 1,001 days on the market. The owner's 2,000 miles away and is paying for a property that's going nowhere. I'm not saying you need to manage the sale yourself. I'm saying someone needs to carry that burden. And if you don't know who that is and what happens when things get hard, you don't have an execution plan. You have hope, and hope is not a plan. Question 5. Do the numbers support the plan? After the stress, the risk, the surprises, the carrying costs, and the repair estimate, does the possible outcome justify selling? Or is holding costing you more than selling? See, this calculation is more complex than a split screen can show. It's not just price minus commission. It's holding costs, it's tax exposure, it's repair estimates, and how long it takes to sell, and what you actually walk away with after everything sells. A sale only makes sense if the math still works after the hidden costs are accounted for. Most sellers skip this. They take a number they heard, a postcard offer they received, or a Zestimate from Zillow, or a number a realtor gave them, and they run with it without the full math. So slow down. This is why this question matters. Do the numbers actually support the plan, or are you guessing? Let me show you how all 5 questions play out in real life. The owner from the opening, Alon had a rental here in Cleveland, but he was out of the country. His property manager had it rented at $950. Way below market. The property was underperforming, it was undermanaged, and Alon was thousands of miles away with no visibility as to what was going on here on the ground. That manager introduced Alon to a wholesaler. Alon was going to walk away with $35,000. They told him it was the fastest way out. So Alon accepted it. Then the pattern started. The price cuts, the contract extensions, more access, more pressure. By the time he called me, he thought he had no way out. Within 2 minutes of reviewing the contract, I saw it. The contract had already expired. He was free. He just didn't know it. He wasn't stuck. He was asking one question. What am I being offered instead of 5? So we stopped reacting to the offer and worked through the 5 questions. Question 1, was he free to sell? Yeah. The contract had expired. The wholesaler had no legal hold on the property. He was free. He just didn't know it. Question number 2, what problem was he trying to solve? He had a below market rental managed by someone who wasn't protecting him, an asset that was losing value from 6,000 miles away. He had no exit plan. Question 3, what was the right exit path? Not the $35,000 wholesale dump. I took him through a real sale process, marketed the property to real buyers with enough exposure to get the highest price. Question 4, did he have a clear execution plan? No, he didn't. The property manager who set up the wholesale deal wasn't protecting him. He had no local team, no execution plan, and no one accountable. Because the person who was supposed to carry the burden handed it to the buyer. Question number 5, did the numbers support the plan? At $35,000? Nah. He bought the property for more than that. The numbers then just failed to support the plan. They exposed it as a loss before we even did the math. Once we worked through the 5 questions, the path was clear. And we sold it for $90,000. Same property, same market, $55,000 difference. That's not luck. That's what happens when you answer the right questions instead of chasing the fastest offer. Before you decide to sell your property, answer the 5 questions. I put together a tool for exactly this. It's called the decision framework. Hold, sell, or solve. 5 questions. Rate each on a scale from 1 to 5. Add it up, and you'll see which path you're in. That $55,000 recovery, that came from answering all 5 questions, not chasing the fastest offer. Don't let one question decide your exit. Ask all 5. I'm Vladimir Lobo. Get focused. I'll see you on the next one.